on some calls and really dive into the compensation plan. I think we might have really sparked a little nerve there while we were up in Salt Lake City. And it's been a real pleasure to jump on a lot of these calls. So thanks for inviting me on. Like Bobby is saying, we've known each other now for I feel like quite a while.
It's seven
You know,
seven and a half years.
yeah, we've been doing this for a minute now, and one of the things I've got to tell you is how much respect I have for the organization that he has built. I really, really have a deep respect for the people that have been in this industry for a long time. One of the things that I know from early on with meeting with Bobby and April is that we have a lot of things that we believe in that are very, very similar. We believe that the build out of this business is really primarily around building relationships. We believe that the strongest part of any organization out there is around the relationship that you have with your leaders. The other thing that I know that we agree on is that your job is really to create independence throughout your team. If you're building this business and you do not create independence, then you're constantly the one that is responsible for all of the education, all of the growth. You're the one that has to do all the meetings until you can actually go out and duplicate your efforts through someone else that has a similar understanding or a very, very, an understanding that is aligned with yours. This business is very, very difficult. And so that's one of the things I really respect about them is that they built an organization that is not centered around them having to do all the work and that they truly care about all of you on this call. And whether they've told you that or not, I know they've told me that, how much they appreciate and care about all of you. So I have to, I feel like I have to at least express that to all of you so that it's there's a lot of mutual respect on these different teams. Bobby and April are not on my team, and I'm not on their team. And so we're very much sidelined to one another in the company, which is a beautiful thing that I think is happening here in LifeVantage, is that we can call on one another and we can pass on little secrets that even if we've told our team, sometimes it's nice to hear it from somebody else that doesn't have a direct financial interest in saying something, right? You get that confirmation, you get that overlap. And so I really appreciate the trust that you guys have in me jumping on this call tonight. So anyway, with that being said, you guys, one of the things that I was taught really, really early on in my career here is that if I can help other people accomplish their goals, I'll probably have to change my goals. And what that means is that whatever you set for what you want out of this, whether it's monetary or whether it's health based, whether it's relationship based, whatever it is, you help enough other people reach whatever their goals are, and you're probably going to meet all of yours and then have to change them. And that's been my experience. I was telling some people on a call earlier this week that I've had to retire in this business multiple different times. When I first got introduced to this, I was a real estate appraiser and I felt like I was pretty good at it. I was working in a very small town, but I worked in 6 different counties, if you can imagine working over a region that is that large, because there was a lot of little small towns that required me to go out and be able to write what we called addendums in the real estate world that would explain why I would give a value to something that had comparable properties that might be, say, outside the boundaries, right? And so I became one of those guys that the banks were trusting to explain, how the damage was going to be repaired or where these valuations came from or why would I use a home in a different city. And so what that led to is a lot of comfort for me in the fact that I felt like I was pretty secure in my income. But what I did not realize until that was brought to my attention is that if I was ever taken out of that equation, if I was no longer doing the appraisal because it required my license, my family had no income. Zero. My income would go away. Very similar to someone who's a nurse or a doctor or somebody whose income is entirely reliant on their participation in the generation of that income. And that's what attracted me to this business. And so my mentor would always tell me, do not leave that story. You've got to help people understand that the generation of income cannot be entirely up to you if you want the real power of what leveraged income is, or if you want that real passive income, the power of passive income, you've got to understand how to help other people reach their goals. And so I've made that my focus, you guys, this entire time. I make the conversation when I'm starting, a conversation with somebody way less about me and far more about them. In the beginning, though, I will tell you that I wanted to make a couple thousand a month. I hit that goal. I, I hit that goal and retired. My wife was an insurance adjuster at the time, and we thought we were just killing it financially. The extra $20,000, $25,000 a year was just something we spent on vacations until I decided to go out and do it again. And I said, I'm going to set a new goal for five, and I hit that goal pretty quick. Retired again. I hit the $10,000 goal after that and retired again, ultimately getting to 25 and 50. And I finally just was like, is this industry big enough? I mean, is it powerful enough that someone can generate $100,000 a month income? And you guys, obviously, the answer to that is yes. And I retired again when I hit those numbers, ultimately deciding I was just probably never going to retire because the financial goals had all been met, but I've got so much stuff rattling around in my head that I feel like that other people should be able to or have the best shot at, or if I can give them this information, they can have a chance of achieving some of these financial goals. I mean, what better legacy can you really leave than to pass that information on to others, right? And so that's why today in this career path, I'm not retired anymore. I've met all my financial goals, but now it's more about just passing this information on. It led to a situation, I guess, about 3 years ago now, where Steve Fife, the CEO of the company, asked me to come in and help them design a new compensation plan. And without getting into a long drawn out, a story about how that process happened, let me just tell you this. My initial response was fear. My initial response was, you don't touch comp plans. There are certain things that we say in this industry are the untouchables, and it's one of them is back ordering products, one is not providing products, one is having checks that bounce, another one is touching comp plans. Things like that are kind of you keep your hands off of those things. So when he brought that to me, my initial thought was, man, I'm going to do everything in my power to discourage him from going down this path. And what that meant is that I had to sit through a week-long presentation by a group called the Dan Jensen Group that was going to introduce us to an idea to keep our company very, very modern. Now, I think most of you guys on this call would agree that the way people create income these days has changed. I mean, it's not the same as it was when Bobby and April and I were starting out 20 years ago. It's just not. Back then, the big idea was to put ads in newspapers or go sit in a home show or go, sit at the home and garden show and try to catch leads. That was kind of what people did back then. And that kind of evolved into these what we called opt-ins through an email traffic, where you would send people an email, and if they opt to get a little bit more information, they would come in, and the 6 opt leads were not as beneficial as the 7 opt leads and all that kind of stuff, ultimately leading us to where we're at today with the social marketing environment that we live in. And he explained to us that there is a way for a company to still be able to attract the type of marketing that people do because of this exposure and the how rapid information is exposed today. There's a way to build a compensation plan without abandoning the traditional that traditional behavior that we all fell in love with, right? That relationship that I was talking about in the very beginning. He said, there's a way to do this, and I'd just really like to present it to you. So I decided that I would go into the conversation open-minded. I've watched these people go and try all these other things and fail miserably at them. I mean, there's little blips of success, but never a broad adoption of any of the things that had happened prior to this. And so I went in open-minded, and I was probably the largest piece of opposition in that entire week. I mean, it was at times very, very much a battlefield, if I can say that, as we were developing this plan. And then we had a breakthrough. We had a breakthrough where we decided that it was no longer about trying to prove each other wrong. It was really, how do we build a bridge? How do we bridge today's marketing with traditional behaviors? And when we did that, you guys, I believe we came up with the single most modern, the most powerful, the most lucrative compensation plan that the industry has today. You've watched a lot of other companies walk off and try to do their affiliate marketing. They abandon traditional things and become. You can't point to one company that has succeeded doing that, by the way. And I had an opportunity at this last event to pull a couple board members aside and remind them of that, because I wanted to know their commitment to the traditional build out of our company. It mattered to me. And they gave me a 100% commitment that they recognize what's going on. One of the people told me that they believe that what's causing that is that they have a lot of hedge funds that are coming in and buying these companies because these companies are so lucrative. I mean, there's there's honestly a lot of money in this game. And so hedge funds are buying these companies out. They're trying to pay off a lot of debt and then take advantage of how lucrative these companies are, and that they want nothing to do with that. And most of you guys know, as a public company, you can see how much debt we have. You can see how much profitability we have. You guys know that you can look up exactly where we're spending the money and how much we pay in our commissions, right? And so they committed that to me. What we landed on, though, as we started to build this bridge, we decided, rather than fighting what people are transitioning into, let's pay people a ton of money to get started with these giant customer buckets or customer pools. Bobby mentioned that you've got somebody who is 6 times qualified diamond. That is an extremely lucrative thing to do in our company today, and it was not lucrative before. So let's start there. Let's talk about that. Let's talk really quickly, and this is where I'd start writing some things down if I were you. Let's talk quickly about what makes a compensation plan a really good balanced comp plan. You guys think that that's an important place to start? I mean, would you want to attract social marketers that have access to hundreds of thousands of people if you could? I mean, would you want somebody on your team? Would you want them to be frontline to you? I mean, so one of the behaviors that we want to do to reward is that actual introduction of product. You can benefit from our product. You can have this health benefit if you'll use it, and here's the reasons why. We want to really benefit someone who's willing to have that kind of a conversation. Do you want to talk about Nerf 2? Do you want to talk about collagen? Do you want to talk about our mind body product? Do you want to understand how this product is working from an activation point of view? And if you're willing to have that conversation, can we reward you properly? So, number one, we want to reward what I believe is one of the more difficult conversations, which is the product conversation. Okay. Now, I know that some people think it's harder to have the conversation I have, and I'll explain that in a minute. I believe my conversation is way easier, especially long term. But let's have a really big reward for going out and having the courage to understand what these products are and why. Why would we want to reward that piece? Why would we want to do that? Well, because we believe in this business, if you can get someone to use a product that they're going to use every single day of their life, if you're the one introducing that information, we want to pay you every time they reorder the product. I mean, isn't that really the power of leverage, you guys? Isn't that really how you can take someone like me, who is a successful real estate appraiser, and pay me for doing work once multiple times? Right? Isn't that really what it's about? So we said, let's reward them for that. And in our plan, and this is the first piece you've got to understand, is that when you do this, you're going to make the difference between whatever the price is that we pay as consultants. Okay. So on $100 expense, let's just say our price is $80. If you put someone on a subscription, let's just say that's $90, you're going to get 100% of that difference. Okay, so write that down. I get 100% of whatever the difference is between my cost and the subscription cost or the retail cost. Now, the subscription cost will be less than the retail cost. Let's make sure everybody on the call understands why. When you put someone on a subscription cost, you're doing the work once. We're going to give them a discount to be on a subscription. Why would we do that? Because you no longer have to put effort in, and they're committing to recurring orders. They're committing to repeat orders. They're committing to something that no longer requires you to be in the conversation. So we're going to give them a discount to be on that recurring order. Now, if they want you to come to their house every month and drop the product off and continue to be involved in the conversation and continue to be a part of the process, we're going to charge them more money for that. And so we're going to pay you more money if you have to be involved after that initial conversation. Does that make sense? Now, in addition to that, what Dan told us is, he said, you guys, one of the most powerful things you can do is encourage people to be on these subscriptions, because we want you to be able to do, say, 10 meetings this month and get 7 or 8 customers, but then do 10 more meetings next month and get 7 or 8 more the next month. And by doing this month after month after month, you can lead up to 30, 40, 50, or in the case that Bobby was talking about earlier, someone who might have 100 or even 200 customers that are buying these products. We do not want you to be burdened in month 2 with the effort that you had to be putting in month 1. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. We want you to be able to add to it. And by doing that, we're going to pay you an additional percentage. So when you get over 500 in volume, you're going to get another 5%. When you get over 1,000, you'll get another 5 or 10 total. When you get to the $2,000 mark, we're going to be giving you 15%. And then when you get over 4,000 in total customer volume, you're going to get an additional 20% of that entire volume. Now, if you only knew this piece, I mean, if this was the only part, so, I get the question all the time, what would your 5-minute presentation be, on our comp plan? If you only knew this little part where you can make up to 40% of talking to people and letting them know that there's a product that could, in many cases, help you slow down or reduce the risk of a lot of the age-related diseases that we're all just going to look into. You know what they are. Look at your family. Look at your uncles, your aunts, your moms and dads. Just look where they're at and ask yourself, do I want to give myself a fighting chance to not experience those age-related diseases, right? Okay. If you're willing to have that conversation with people, you can make up to 40% of everything they buy month after month after month. Well, it turns into a lot. I'm gonna tell you right now, somebody who is 5 times qualified has $20,000 worth of volume. And if you're making 30% of 20, it's $6,000 a month. I mean, your guest speaker next week is making over $6,000 a month just from this part of our comp plan. And this isn't even the real MLM stuff. This isn't even the leverage stuff. This is just opening your mouth up enough, having the courage to open your mouth and say, I've got a product that can help you avoid some of those age-related diseases that we're all destined to get. I mean, how hard is that conversation, right? So when someone says, how do you do this? You tell people, say, listen, I found a company. It's got a product everybody needs, and they pay us up to 40% to go tell people that it exists. Well, what is it? It helps us with aging. It's a big deal. It activates systems in your body that only worked when you were young, that we're all programmed to reduce the amount of activity as we get older until it stops acting that way and we die. I mean, can you imagine making your body work like it did when you were young and then making up to 30 or 40% of that purchase on everybody you tell this to? Can you guys do at least that part of the comp plan? Is there anybody on here that can't say that? And when someone says, well, tell me about the product, say, rather than tell you, let me show you what Harvard said. Let me show you what the American Heart Association said. Let me show you what the National Institutes of Aging or any of these other 30 different universities. One of them's on bypass surgery. Anybody in your family had to have a bypass surgery lately? Let's go read the Ohio State study. I mean, if you really want to know what it does, don't listen to me. Listen to the experts. And remind you, if you'll tell everybody, you can make 30, 40% of everything they buy. That's how simple our comp plan really is. That's how I have conversations. People think that I go out and talk about superoxide dismutase. I don't. I let the experts do that. I talk about being in a situation where I no longer have to be in the generation of income. Nobody on this call wants to go to work every single day and have to start over until you give wherever you're working an hour, you didn't make any money. Nobody wants that. Everybody on this call understands that if you invest long enough, the purpose of investing long enough is to live off the interest. We've all heard that. Every single one of us have heard, invest enough and live off the interest, don't touch the principal. That is what the multi-level marketing game is. Okay, what is our principle? It's the consumption from our customers and from our consultants. That's the principle. The interest is what we get paid in commission by creating a passive income. Does that make sense? Putting people on subscription. Okay, so number one, Dan said, you've got to be really, really competitive. So these people that have these giant platforms are interested in capturing that 30 or 40% by just simply talking about your product. Now, in addition to that, and this is the only other part of a 5-minute conversation that I think anybody should give, like in the beginning, until you're moving on to the details of a comp plan, is if you're willing to now go find the people. So not just find the customers, not just find the people who need the product, but if you're willing to go find the Bobbies or find the Aprils, if you're willing to find the person that will go out and find the customers, we're going to pay you to do that too. And this is where developing independence on your team starts. You go find the person that will go get 5 or 6 times qualified diamond. And for every single order that that person does, or anybody that they find as a customer, any order that they do, will pay you 10% of what they do. That's how hard our comp plan is. We'll pay you 30 to 40% of all of the customers that consume the product, the people that are interested in slowing down the aging process or giving themselves a fighting chance against all those diseases that none of us want. I mean, I can't imagine anybody on here going, yeah, just can't wait. I mean, when I turn 70, if I don't have dementia, man, I did something wrong. Right? Anybody on here like hoping that you can lose your mind? Anybody on here hoping that you can have heart problems? Anybody on this call today that's going, I just really can't wait till I wake up and everything hurts. It's like a rite of passage. I mean, we all have to go through it. Is there anybody that says that? Or are you guys all saying, when I'm 70, hope I can behave like I did when I was 40? See, we all need it, right? Okay. So if all you knew is that by showing people that that's a possibility, you can make 30 or 40%, and by finding other people that will tell people that it's a possibility will give you another 10%, you don't need to know anything more about this compensation plan. That's literally it, because you can find as many as you want. What if you found, say, 5 Bobbies or 5 Aprils? What if you found 5 of them and they all went out and they got 2 or 3 diamond qualified? What if you found 5 of them and their customer volume was $100,000 a month in volume? What's 10% of that? It's 10 grand. Could any of you guys use an extra $10,000 a month? See, that's how simple this plan is. We will give you 30 to 40% of whatever you go out and introduce the product to as a customer. And then we'll give you another 10% of all the people that help you tell that story. Can I make it any more simple than that? Have you ever heard this plan taught that simple? Make up to 30 or 40% from your own customers and another 10% from anybody that will help you tell the story. Is that crazy? Now, guess what? We go way beyond that, because the next goal is to make those people go out, or ask those people to go out, or encourage those people, motivate those people to go out and do the same thing you just did. And this is where you have to start thinking outside of the traditional mindset. If I can find you to help me tell the story, shouldn't you go find other people to help tell the story too? See, we're going to pay you different percentages for about 9 levels of that behavior. So if I find you and you find someone else, that's my second level and your first. If they find someone else, it's my third and your second. And we're going to do this. And you can only imagine that if you had 3 or 4 people helping you tell the story and they did the same thing, that every level below you gets bigger and broader and wider. So 3 turns into 9, or 9 turns into 27, or 27 turns into 60 and 100 and 200. And then, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as we go. Can you imagine now getting 10% of your own, 7% of theirs, 6% of theirs, 5% of the next one? These are people you didn't even know. You just had the courage to say there's a company that understands activation, which, by the way, is becoming it's becoming the conversation in the anti-aging world. You're starting to see it in commercials on TV. You're starting to hear doctors understand the difference between giving you a remedy or giving you some kind of a prescription to actually preventing things from happening. It's starting to become, and you're ahead of that conversation, right? You can start that conversation and get to 6, 7, 8 generations away from you, people you don't even know, and get paid. Who doesn't want that? How many of you guys would like to have 100% of your own effort, or 1% of 100 others? I ask this question all the time because it was asked to me. My mentor asked me, said, Tyler, do you want 100% of your effort, or would you rather have 1% of 100 other people's effort? My initial response was 100% of my own. I was like, I can control me. I can decide how much effort I put in. I know how disciplined I am. I know how driven I am. I want 100% of me. And they started laughing at me because they said, do you think you can put 100% of your effort in 7 days a week, 24 hours a day? I was like, I don't know. I'm pretty disciplined. They're like, well, do you think you can do it forever? What happens on that first day that you go, I need a break? What happens on the very first day when you say, I'm tired, I need to rest, or maybe I have a hobby like golfing or something, I want to go golfing that day? What's 100% of zero effort? It is a big fat zero, right? They said, do you not understand that you're never going to have 100 people take the same day off? But if 30 of them take the day off every single day, you're still getting 70% effort every day, even if you take time off. Do you realize if you have 70%, which is just 70 of the 100 people working and 30 of them taking the day off, do you realize you don't have to do anything, that like literally nothing, and you still get 70% effort every day? And I went, oh, big light bulb moment for me. I'm going to go find other people to help me tell the story. I'm going to get paid 10% of everything they do, and progressively smaller numbers as they go tell their friends and theirs from multiple levels. They then looked at me, and her name was Diane. My mentor's name is Diane. I talk about her all the time, you guys. I had probably, for people that think I was just riding around with her like hours every day getting mentoring, that's not how it works. She probably took me on 6 or 7 drives that were about an hour each. And she taught me everything she needed to teach me in those 6 or 7, in those little 6 or 7 moments, let's just call them. And that's what I pass on. I haven't deviated from any of her teachings are as true today as they were when I got them 15, 18 years ago. Okay. She said, Tyler, she goes, once you understand now the power of having a small part of a lot of people's efforts, the only thing you have to do is build relationships with a few of them, 5, 6, 8, 10 of them, help them create that environment for themselves, help them reach their financial goals. That independence will retire you. That independence will change your future. That independence will allow you to no longer have to follow society's path, which we all know what that is, right? It's 40 years, right? It's get out of school, work for 40 years, hope you can live on half of what you couldn't live on through the 40 years, hope that you were disciplined enough to not try to keep up with the Joneses, hope you didn't have to buy a boat every year, hope that you didn't buy a new car, hope you drove the other one into the dirt so that you could invest, so that you didn't have to live on your pension, so you could actually have a 401k or an IRA or whatever it is. That's what society tells you to do. She said, Tyler, go create independence in 5 or 6 or 8 other people, and you will have a retirement income that is far greater than anything you could have built over those 40 years. And the biggest part is you're going to get to enjoy 30 years of your life instead of like 11. I mean, in today's world, we're told that we're going to retire at 67 years old. You know what the average lifespan is? It's 78. So that means you get to kill yourself until you're 66, 67 years old, and then you get 11 good years when your body's breaking down. You get 11 years to enjoy this hard work you've put in for 50 or 45 years. Who's signing up for that? Okay? So people say all the time, they say, Tyler, I think your way's harder. I'm like, is it really? It's harder for me to have this conversation with people than to go explain how the NRF2 pathway works. Is it really? Is it really harder to understand how superoxide dismutase and catalase and how all the elements of collagen are going in and affecting cellular health and mitochondrial? I mean, that conversation's easier than saying, hey, do you want to follow the 45-year plan or can I show you a shortcut? Really? I'm like, I think you're crazy. Because on one hand, if I'm having the health conversation, I'm probably going to have a pretty decent income. I mean, there's people that can hit the diamond rank. But if I'm having a health conversation, I have to wait for them to get healthy before they're going to tell somebody. That means 3, 4, 5, even 6 months, maybe a year before they're going to tell somebody. That duplication is slow. I can have the money conversation every single day. How many more days do you want to spend in that 40-year cycle? Should we get started today or tomorrow? Which one do you want to do? Oh, you want to start today? Let's go. Who do you know? Who do you know that doesn't want to be in the 40-year cycle? Let's go call them. Do you think that they know anybody that doesn't want to be in the 40-year cycle? Let's call them.
Congratulations, Peter. The water heater that somehow passed inspection. So we'll definitely flood your basement.
Somebody unmuted.
I got him.
Do you see where I'm coming from, you guys? My mentor, she told me, she goes, Tyler, this is how you identify where you're going to put your time. Number one, are products important? Absolutely. There's no question that the products that we have in this company are not one of the most valuable things we have. But the real question is why? Why are our products so valuable from an economic point of view? Why are our products so big? I mean, why should we celebrate them from an economic point of view? It's real simple. Because we know, based on the 30 peer reviews that we have from the highest standard possible, we know that people are going to, once they know what these products are, they're going to buy them forever. This isn't like a weight loss product that you're only going to lose weight, hit your goal, and stop. There's reasons to use our mind body after you've met your weight loss goal. There's this gut-mind relationship that we activate. Our mind body's not to lose weight. It's to create a healthy environment between your gut and your brain. Right? So why do we care that our products are so powerful? Because we know once someone understands what they are, they buy them over and over and over again. What does that mean? I'm going to make 30 to 40% from my customers and 10% from my personals that will help me tell the story, and then another percentage from everybody they have helped tell the story. I can create a passive income. I can shortcut the 45-year plan. That's what it means. She said, Tyler, make sure the products are legit. Make sure that these products have efficacy. Make sure that these products are not something that you have to be the expert, though. How many of you guys get real excited to sit at a table and whoever's going to win the conversation is just the highest educated? You know what I learned early on, you guys? If I have to have a science conversation with people, I'm going to lose every time. It's hard. I'm not that educated. I don't have a PhD in biology. That's not where I'm at. But you know what conversation I'm not going to lose? How does the comp plan work? Because I know that comp plans are very, very, once you understand the basic structure of comp plans, okay? Once you know that, there's only a few questions you have to ask. So let me give them to you. I've told you basically what the comp plan is. Let me go two more steps before I give you the questions. The next step is creating independence so you can get 20% of whatever they get from the level bonus. And then the last one is how you get paid on what I'm doing. I mean, I told you guys earlier, we're not on the same team. My organizations do well over 120 to 150 million dollars a year. Do you want to get paid on that volume and not just your own? Right? You do, right? So Dan said we want to have the bonus that you're 100% in charge of, which is your customers. We want to have another bonus that is allowing you to invite other people to help you tell the story. We want to pay you now to go out and develop independence so they no longer need you. And then we want to pay you on what the whole company is. Those are your four things. Okay? Two of them are in 100% control of you. The independence one is a mentoring thing. Encourage that conversation to take place. You pay everybody for the entire company's volume. So we said when you get to the EC1 rank, you'll get one share. You can earn up to 20. Every share is roughly about $1,000, just so you know. If you're wondering how much extra money the presidentials in this company get for getting those 20 shares, it's roughly 20 grand a month. Okay? $250,000 a year as a thank you, as a go tell everybody what you know, embrace that there's people on other people's teams that may you maybe what you do is relatable to them. See, I know I'm not a social marketer, but there's a lot of leaders who are, and I can direct my people to them. I know that the aggressive nature that I have is not appealing to everyone, but I know you have people on your team that love my energy, and you might want them to talk to me. So if my energy is not good, go have them talk to someone else. But I'm available to people that want my energy. Just like I would direct someone to talk to Bobby or April that want their energy, or someone who's a social marketer that wants that energy. Donnie Nettles did an incredible job in the health plan. He talked about the pathway to activation. There's a lot of people on my team that want that energy. And so I can send them there. Okay. So for 20 grand a month, we just go, hey, make sure you don't keep this a secret. Make sure that you're a good teammate. Make sure that your peers, that you're available to your peers. Is this helping you guys with the comp plan? Do you guys realize that what I'm doing tonight is how I do presentations? Bobby's seen me do it. I mean, this is really where I do them. I'm trying to open people's minds up that there's a better pathway than what you were taught when you were young. There's a better pathway. Okay. So the questions that Dan said that you've got to ask someone. Number one is this compensation plan competitive? Number one question that you have to understand is it competitive? So let's talk about that for a second. What makes a compensation plan competitive? In my opinion, you have to pay a minimum of 40%, but you shouldn't pay more than 50. And this is where I get everybody going, what? What did he just say? Why wouldn't I want to be in a company that pays more than 50%? Okay. Well, when you're looking at this through the eyes of an entrepreneur, the eyes of a business, one of the questions that I would hope you would ask is how healthy is the company that I'm giving my time to? I hope you would ask, if I put 5 years into this thing, is the company healthy enough to last for 10 or 20 or 30 more years? Or am I just putting the money in until the company goes out of business because they can't afford to pay these ridiculous commissions? That's a question I would hope you would ask. See, I want the legacy of this industry. I want to be the Shackley or the Amway of I want to be that 50-year-old company that people point to and say, can you imagine being at the beginning of that? And if I could turn the clock back on Mary Kay, how many of you guys wouldn't join Mary Kay? Me and Bobby be running around trying to figure out what everybody's best color is if we could turn the clock back to year two. We'd have our very own pink Cadillacs, right? I mean, if you're a business person, it doesn't matter what the business is. It matters whether the business is something that you can get behind. I mean, I have certain standards. I'm not going to go out in left field and sell things that hurt people. But if I could turn the clock back on Mary Kay, are you kidding me? They're a multi-billion-dollar, very successful company. I'd love to figure out what your best color is if I could do that. Right? So the goal here is to have a long-term company. So why is 50% the top? Because we know after all these years of studying compensation plans that if you get over 50, it starts to put a burden on the company. The company can no longer do the kind of trips or the incentives. They cannot do the promos. They can't do the research, the development. They can't continue to add products that will fit in with the high standard that company might want to have going forward. You can't have MB products. You can't have collagen products if they can't afford to invest in that research, right? So the competitive number is 40 to 50%. That's the competitive number. Below 40, the company's not really, I mean, they're not paying us enough. I mean, there's other companies that will pay above 40 that are probably a better choice if you start paying less than 40%. And so it's very important that a company stays in that range. I know one of the things in we got down to about 40 or 41%, 42%. And so that's why we were able to do this giant Africa trip. It's why we're able to put more money in to things like the Thailand trip. How many of you guys are going to make it your goal to get to the Thailand trip? I hope you will. I mean, you just get to the executive ranks for most of us, and you just get there. If you're already an executive, you just got to kind of make the next executive rank, and it qualifies you there. Okay. But the reason that this company can help us do that is because they have the money to do it. You get below 40%, not competitive. Above 40%, pretty competitive. And when you get up to 50%, they'll have to kind of scale back down a little bit, maybe. But at 50%, that's pretty good payout. If you think of every dollar that comes in, 50% goes back out to us. Pretty good. Okay. So the next question is once you can identify that the company is competitive in its payout, is every step competitive? And what I mean by that is, do you only want to pay the people at the top, or do you want to have a healthy middle class? Do you want to have a really, really good entry level where people can make enough money to stick around long enough to either learn the conversation about the products or learn the conversation about the comp plan? Do you have a really nice initial ability to go out and make a decent income? So is there balance through the comp plan? That's the next question you should ask. Is it competitive? And then is it balanced? Because if you're in a company where the leaders are all just saying, well, when you get to the top, it's amazing, but you're going to struggle, you probably need to look somewhere else. I mean, I'll just be straight up. You can have the best product in the world, but if there's only 20 people making all the money, the chances of being at the top are very, very slim. You want to have a really, really balanced compensation plan. Okay. So we have that up to 40% in the beginning. The remainder, that 42, 43, 44%, is really closely split up amongst our other three categories: the team building, the independence or the leadership building, and then the share bonus. And the big share bonus at the top is actually the smaller of the three at 20,000. You'll make way more money in the level bonus and then the matching bonus than you will in the share bonus. So our two big structural pieces of our comp plan, the two big structural ones, that's where the lion's share, about 70% of our money goes to those two things. Okay? Which you should love. You should appreciate that. You should appreciate the fact that our company is not only just competitive in its payout, but we have the kind of money that when you hit MC1, we spend our money on you. We put you on an airplane. We fly you out to Salt Lake City. We bring other leaders in that are at the next level up to teach you how to go from where you're at to where they're at. That training, when you get to the MC1, that Growth Summit training is more about leadership development, leadership qualities, more so than how do you start a conversation, right? More so than how do you actually show a presentation. I mean, those are the early stages. That's year one in your 4-year degree that you're going to get, right? Year one is, how do I start a conversation? How much do I get paid? Year two might be, how do I ask other people to be on my team and understand what I get paid from them and be able to actually transfer that information. Year three might be the leadership side, which is why at MC1, we bring you into Salt Lake on our dime, our money. We spend it on you. Okay? If we were paying out more than 50%, that day would never come. You know who you'd be reliant on for leadership training? You better be on the right team. Okay, you just better be on the right team, because your leadership training will be entirely, all of it will come from just your upline. And we're a baby. This company is very, very small. There's not a lot of leadership. I'm going to tell you right now, there just is not a ton of leadership in this company yet. So if you need leadership training and there's not a lot of leaders, where are you going to go get it? See, our company provides it to you. We understand that there's a hole in the leadership. We understand that we need to invest in you. If we want to have hundreds or thousands of leaders, we're going to invest in you. That's where the company's future, that's where we need to invest, is in its future, right? Does that make sense? Is this a way deeper understanding of a comp plan than maybe you guys thought you were going to get tonight? Is it helpful?
Absolutely.
Okay. This is how I talk about it. Too many people will look at all the percentages in the level bonus, and too many people will be like, well, there's 7 payouts on the leadership matching bonus in 2020, and look, it goes from 12 to 15 to 20. And their brains start to fry thinking they need to know all that stuff. Okay. We start to think this is too much math. My biggest goal tonight is to help you understand the reason that these different components, these pillars exist. I want you to know why they exist. I want you to know just the initial conversation. The rest of it comes as you build. Okay. One of the things that a lot of people ask me is do you build wide or do you build deep? Okay. That's how I'm going to close this up, because I've got another call, you guys. I took a little longer than I thought I was going to take, Bobby. I hope you're okay with that.
Absolutely, man.
I
We love it. Everyone's loving it.
I get questions about width or depth. Okay. Now, this is the way it was taught to me. They said, Tyler, there's rules in this industry. Width is wealth. If you want to put width equals wealth, that's fine. It's always been that way. If you're in a binary structure, which we're not, but if you're talking to someone who's in a binary, width to them is the number of sponsorships they have. It's their sponsor tree. That's about as high level as I'm going to get with you guys. Just understand that the more they sponsor would be considered width to us. So the more frontline lines or sources, as we call them, the more individual legs that you start, that will equal wealth. Okay. The deeper you develop leadership in your business, so the more levels that you have, is stability. So I was always taught to create it's like a dance to create balance. If you have 5 wide, you want to have 5 deep. They said just build 10 wide, build 10 deep. They said have balance. The best advice you can give anybody on width versus depth is to have balance. 5 wide, 5 deep. Okay. And I don't mean 5 sponsorships. I mean 5 levels. That means you found somebody who found somebody of their own, who then found somebody of their own, who found somebody of their own. When I talk about depth, I don't mean placement. I don't mean going down and stacking. There's a lot of people that get confused about this. I would prefer if you never stacked anybody in your business unless it's brothers and sisters. I will always put family members down one line, but that's about the only case there is. Okay, and I'll tell you why. I don't want brothers and sisters fighting for each other. I don't want Thanksgiving dinner to turn into a war because one brother or sister signed up with the wrong one. That's the only reason. It's not a financial reason, it's a family reason. And family's more important than any business we're ever going to do. And so I'm going to protect the family first. Fair enough? Okay. I would prefer if you always put everybody front line to you. I would always prefer if you never stacked and always put everyone front line. And I'm going to tell you why. There is a historical statistic that you can't change. The average person will sponsor about 2.3 people ever in their life. Can you imagine if they put all of them in one leg? You just created an environment that they will never recover from. So let's play by the statistics, knowing that the vast majority of people will sponsor 2 or 3 people, maybe. And for those rare occasions that someone sponsors 15 or 20 or 30 people, we'll have private individual discussions with them if we need to do any kind of arranging of structure. Is that fair? Can we all just agree that that's a fair way to do it?
Mhm.
Okay. So I want you guys to concentrate on width, and then we will build depth by helping other people build their width. I'll say that one more time. You build your width, you create depth by helping other people create their width. So their level 1 is your level 2, but it's their people, not yours, that go on that level. Okay? Just general rule. I know there's exceptions. We're not going to talk about that on these big calls. We'll do exceptions separate. Okay? And don't be afraid to ask. If you feel like you have an exception, we will privately answer all those questions. There's a rhyme or a reason to all this stuff. Okay? So width is wealth, depth is stability. Let's see, what else could I add for you guys here that might be beneficial to you tonight? Oh, I'll tell you this. Everybody asks me, they say, how many did you personally enroll, Tyler? 37. I'm up to 37 right now. Okay. In 20 years, I've personally enrolled 37 people. Now, there's people on this call that have enrolled way more than me. Way more. I mean, if you're 6 times qualified diamond, you've enrolled hundreds of customers more than I ever have. Okay. 37. And so people go, well, how is that possible? Why did you only sponsor? Could I sponsor more than that? Yes, of course. I could go out today and just go, hey, do you want to, look at my check? And, I could do all that stuff that, is you're not supposed to do. I could go do all that and probably sponsor a ton of people. So why have I only sponsored 37 people? Well, because I was taught the difference between throwing mud on the wall and creating independence, mentorship, holding someone's hand, being a good upline, being a good parent. Okay. This business is a lot like parenting. For about 18 years, you're trying to raise your kids up to be independent of you. You're trying to raise your kids up so that they can be good members of society, contributing members of society. This business is very, very much like that. Okay. Can you imagine just going out and having 100 children and going, we'll just see what happens? Does that sound like a good idea to any of you guys? Let's just start having kids everywhere. Don't even necessarily even know them. They're just spread out everywhere. Okay. My mentor said, Tyler, you're going to have about 1/3 of the people that you enroll that are going to do this business. 1/3 of them are going to watch and 1/3 of them are going to quit. Now, I couldn't believe that. I could not believe someone would make the decision to do this. And then because it got hard for a minute, they decided they were going to quit. That's something that just does not, I can't let that into my head. Because I was always taught if you make the decision to do something, you're seeing it through. Even if it's doesn't you don't win the championship, you're going to play as hard as you can to get to that game. And next season we will try it again. Does that make sense? Next season we'll just try it again. There is no quit. I could not believe that a third of my people would quit, and she was 100% right. I've had 12 people quit. I've had 12 people still to this day. 12 people still to this day have said to me, well, when it starts working out for you, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I'm like, well, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what working out for me. I mean, it must be some ridiculous thing, because if the way I live is not working out, you're never going to do this. Like, I am 100% free. Marcel and I've generated over $30 million personally in commissions. And the more powerful thing that's way more important than what we've done for ourselves is when you figure 40 to 50% of a couple billion dollars, that means 800 million to $1 billion in commissions have been paid to other families because we had the courage to start this conversation. That sounds like it's working out to me. But I have 12 people on my team that say when it works out for you, I'll get started. The other 12 people said, let's go. They run with me. About 4 or 5 of them have hit presidential. You probably know a lot of them. It's the Mark Sensatos of the world, Seth Mulders of the world. It's the Blue Elams of the world. It's the Dr. Campbells of the world. These are all personal enrollments of ours, okay? Can you imagine having that many presidentials that you personally enrolled? Kind of fun, right? My mentor said, you hold their hand when they fall down. You pick them back up. You mentor them. You help them find answers. You don't give them answers, by the way. When people call me, do you think I give them the answer, or do you think I show them where it's at? Right? When your kid when your kid brings the homework home, do you do it for them and send them in? Or do you make them do the homework with you? What do you do? Okay. I'm just telling you, this is what I was taught. It's literally parenting is all this business is. Okay. So I've signed up 37, 12 of them quit, 12 of them watch, 12 of them build, 5 of them become presidentials. Marcel and I built two presidentials. We're actually working on our 3rd presidential between the 2 of us right now. Okay. So we personally built 2. So 7 of the presidential positions that you guys know of in this company are either a result of us sponsoring that person or Marcel and I building it out ourselves. Okay. Pretty happy about that. $800 to $1 billion worth of commissions have been paid to other people because we were willing to make their goals a priority to us. Okay? So I'm going to wrap this call up with this. I believe that the conversation about the comp plan is the easiest one to have, especially when there's a lot of fear. And I said this on a call the other day, and some people want to accuse this of being like a political thing. It is absolutely not. I've been doing this for 20 years, and guess what's always been the case? Houses cost too much. It didn't matter who the president was. Houses have always cost too much. You don't want to know what else has been a problem? Interest rates have always been a problem. You know what else has been? Groceries have always been expensive. Gas prices are always a conversation. They always are. For 20 years, it did not matter who was where. So why do I have the compensation plan conversation? Because I know that conversation always matters. Always. I know that someone lost their job. I know that someone got looked over because of, someone's daughter or son got the job they thought they were going to get, the position they thought they were going to get. I know that industries go through roller coasters, either upsizing or downsizing. And if you caught on the downside, you need a way to pay your bills. I know that I'm a solution every single year, no matter what's going on around me, for a certain group of people. One side or the other is always unhappy. So I'm just going to go find those people who are in fear, who think that they're not caught up on their 401ks, or maybe they didn't start investing early enough. You want to know what else doesn't matter? If you're 40 years old and you didn't start your retirement investing when you were 25, you don't care who the president is. You know what you care about? You care that you're not caught up. Right? I mean, think about that. Time is our weapon. Time is the one thing that is a huge benefit to us. Time is the one thing when you're 25 that you don't realize is as powerful as it is. Until you're about 60 and you're like, oh shit, I don't have enough. Oh no, how do I get caught up? We have a solution for that conversation, no matter what's going on around us. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So that's why I focus here. So anyway, guys, I'll close it with this. I really, really appreciate you trusting me enough to jump on this call with you. I love working with your team. I like Bobby said, I mean, everywhere we go, he and I, we find a way to have a beer together when we meet someplace. So thanks for trusting me with your team tonight, you guys. I'm going to go jump on my other call before I lose my voice. I hope this
show
helps.
Tyler some love, everybody, will you?
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Tyler, thank you so much. I know you have another one. Go
Yeah.
get it, buddy. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, you guys. Have a great night.
Thank you, Tyler.